Come on. Come on. Ah.
Human bear. Don't care about.
Morning, can you hear me?
Yes, morning, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Jolly good. My dog's, for some reason, don't know why, she's having a barking fit, has been doing for about half an hour. She never barks normally.
Oh, you must know what's going on, you see.
Yeah, maybe. She's looking out the patio window like there's something there and just barking at it. But I can't see anything. Yeah. Oh, you're right.
Morning, everybody else.
Hi.
No.
Needs teaching that and media.
Here we go.
You can see everybody. Look. You see.
Do you know what?
I'm off there.
What in the world are you doing?
What's going on?
Get down. Hey.
Can you hear the dogs? Can you hear the other dogs?
Go away.
Hey.
Oh. Oh.
No, come on.
Hello, how do you do? So, you will, oh, my phone's gonna play up and not want to sit straight. I do apologise. Oh, there we go. So you will find, come up here, you will find that you've just been muted. Don't panic. It's just because of the way that Zoom works, okay? If there's somebody that's louder than me, then the Zoom will keep trying to go to me and it will break up what I'm saying. Because that kind of makes it difficult for us to communicate, what we're going to do is have you be able to interrupt me whenever you want to, absolutely, for any reason whatsoever. But also because during the live sessions, obviously in real class, I can look at you more and I can read your body language more and I can see if you are not understanding or if I'm not doing a very good job at explaining something. So in order for you to be able to let me get feedback that I'm doing okay and that you're understanding everything and that you're happy, then we have a signal that I want everybody to keep up with. What I need for you to do for me to make me feel better is thumbs up when you're getting it and when you're hearing me okay and you're understanding okay. The other reason that that is important for me is because sometimes when I'm letting other people speak, I'll mute myself and then I forget to unmute myself. So I'll carry on talking and imagine that you're fine and that you're hearing me fine. So the other little signal I want for you to have is if you want to interrupt me or if I've forgotten to unmute myself, the signal is this. Okay. So just so that I know everybody hearing me okay, just so that I know that everybody's on board with me okay, we just practice the getting my attention thing. So everybody, right now, let's have the happy. So everybody can see me and hear me. And the thing we're going to do is we're going to name your puppies on your. Now I can do that, and I'll do that while you're introducing yourselves. The other reason that we're going to do that is that obviously these recordings are going to be shared with you inside the class, and it's not really a good idea to have your personal names on there, especially if I decide to use them in the future for other training classes and things. Okay, so we'll name you by your first name and your puppy's name. We're going to get you to introduce yourselves, and I'll go first. So it doesn't need to be anything too scary. This is Dodo. You've got to turn around to camera, baby boy, because they can't see your face. This is Dodo. Dodo is my youngest. He's 2 and 3 months of age. Behind me, you can see Maybe, who's the black and tan one, and she's 13. And if I lean a little bit so you can see, we'll get to meet her at some point. That's Twiggy in the background, and she's nearly 7. Okay, so these are my beasties. Oh, and you'll get to know them because you're going to be seeing them doing demos for you. So, take you in no particular order whatsoever. I'm going to ask Rebecca to unmute herself, and I want to know your puppy's name so I can rename you.
Luna.
Luna. Okay, tell us, can we see her? Are you able to show us?
Trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
Rebecca with Luna. Anything special you want to tell us about her?
She likes to chew everything.
This is being coffee. We're going to talk about chewing. All right, so I'm just going to mute you again, and we're going to pick on Stephanie.
Morning. We have a very boisterous Bert. He wants to eat me. Not just chew, but chew me too. Bless you. Yes, yes, all right.
Nice sweet. So Bert's one of my many Labrador puppies.
Yes, I'd be interested to know if everybody else is being eaten by their Labrador puppy too. Not just me. He likes his toys, but he likes my arms and legs as well. So yes, helpful tips on that would be lovely.
Okay, and our next victim is Sally.
Hi everybody, I'll just go get her. Oh, come here. This is Quinn.
That Q-U-I-N.
Quinn. Say hello. No.
You.
Oh.
How
Trying to
old's
eat.
Quinn?
13 weeks.
Oh, no. All right. I'll mute you, and we've got Chris.
Hello, sorry, I just had to unmute. Hi everyone, I'm Chris and this is my
I'm
girlfriend Andrea. And this is Willow being a little angel at the moment, but don't be fooled. We call her our baby land shark. So yeah, any biting tips would be great.
All right, so I just missed the name. Sorry, say again for me.
It's Willow.
Willow. Now I met Willow again yesterday. She was in for a second L4, and I got a cuddle. And you may or may not have received a photo, because I know one was taken.
Oh,
and it was
great.
sent from one of the veterinary nurses to Claire. And I don't know if Claire sent it to you, but I'm going to ask Claire for a copy because I'm going to see if it's any good. It might go on to the Facebook page, as long as you're happy with your puppy going on the Facebook page. On that subject as well, I'm going to pick on Lisa in a minute, but on that subject, if there is, do be careful with your videos and things, obviously. As I said, there's a chance that they might be used for other classes and things if there's good examples. We don't want children in the background doing inappropriate things, for example, or you doing anything rude. Feel free to turn up in your pajamas, as long as those pajamas are safely covering all appropriate pieces of body. Okay. All right, so here we go. Lisa, bless you.
Bless me, yeah. So I've got Baxter, who is the brother of Bert and Willow. We've got two from the litter. Yes, I know we're crazy. So we've also got Woody, but I've just got Baxter with me this morning because I think he's probably going to be the most difficult to train. And like the others, he likes to nip. Woody doesn't like to nip as much, but Baxter really is a nipper. But also much more cuddly. He wants more comfort than Woody does. Woody's much more independent. Oh, and the other thing that I'm really having problems with is obviously them fighting a lot.
Okay, I'm making note. All right, thank you very much. And now I've not got a name on my last person. Number 7WGW2K. I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself so I can rename you. Hello, darling.
Hello.
What's your name, please?
My name's Tracy.
Name?
Tracy with an E.
Tracy with an E. And what's your pup called, darling?
Bella.
So you finally managed to get in. Well done. You haven't missed much. We're just doing some how to use Zoom kind of ideas. And what I'm saying is that I tend to keep you muted because it makes the sound quality better.
Okay.
Now, you're going to want to interrupt me, and I do like interruptions. I want to make sure that you properly understood and you're properly on board. So if you've got a question, get it in there. Don't hang about waiting till the end or waiting for a pause. Okay. When I've done each section, I'll invite questions as well. So if you're not sure you want to interrupt because you're enjoying the flow, make a little note and I will leave you a chance to ask questions afterwards. Okay, so do you have anything you need to say to me just now?
Biting. Oh, yeah. Yes, just biting really.
All right, I'm going to mute you again. Okay, so what right do I have to sit in front of you lot and start going on about puppy training? What on earth have I got to tell you that you probably haven't heard elsewhere? So I've been a veterinary nurse for 32 years, and for about 22 of those, I've been teaching puppies, specifically puppy classes, but I've also been seeing behaviour cases and behaviour problems. And to my mind, and definitely backed up by research, dogs who have safe puppy hoods are more likely to stay in the homes that they were originally came into. So my whole aim is that you are going to grow dogs that fit perfectly into your lifestyle, but also that those dogs, if necessary for some reason in the future, are going to be able to cope with somebody else's lifestyle. So they're going to be able to fit generally into human society. And that's a big job, you know, that's a really big job. We talk about these poor little babies. They are an entirely different species to us. They've got no genetic cause or reason to want to live with humans if you look at just their animal patterning, except the good news is that somewhere, they still haven't figured it out, but somewhere between 10 and 20,000 years worth of living with us have caused some adaptations that make it easier for them to be able to adapt to our society. So things like dogs are very, very good at reading our body language and following our indications. They tend to want to look into our eyes, which other species don't. So they do not understand English, but they are very keen to learn it, okay, which is nice. And so the other reason that I feel that I have got something to tell you and something to say is that I've never stopped studying. I've never sort of sat on my laurels and go, right, I know all of that. I'm just gonna, this is me now. I know everything. I'm gonna just preach the same stuff from the same song sheet, if you like. When I first started training, when I was training my own dogs, being taught by other trainers, I was told all the wrong things. And I know that as a result, poor little Tyke, who gave his name to my business, to Dawn and my business, he suffered as a result of that and ended up biting people, you know, and luckily that caused me then to go and learn some stuff, which started to change, and it took a long time to change because I'd been told right from the beginning, from being a small child, that you have to do this and you have to do that and you have to treat dogs this way. And it took a long time for the knowledge to finally settle into my brain, and it's still changing, it's still growing, it's still you know, constantly becoming new and more exciting to me. So having just finished my master's degree in clinical animal behaviour, I am presently also in the middle of 3 different courses, and was just looking this morning at another one that I might want to sign up to. So if you want somebody that's going to go really in depth with you about puppy training and how to raise a really good dog, I promise I'm your person. If you want to just know what to do and when, that's fine. And you can, you know, pick and choose. So there's lots and lots of stuff on the Facebook group. Somebody asked whether or not it was important if they're not signed up to there. And I would say if you want full benefit, I would go. Even if you're not a Facebook fan, I would go and have a look around the group and have a look at the units in there. If you're not sure about how to use it, get back to us. We'll tell you how to navigate through that thing. It's not set up like a course. You don't have to have done everything in order to complete it. You can pick and choose. It's better if you work through the units because they kind of build on each other and they help you to understand more. So as I say, if you just want a how-to guide, we can do that. If you want to go away from here, from this course, with the knowledge to be able to help another person to be able to have a better relationship with their own dog and their own, you know, then I'm your person as well for that. You know, I want to send my students out as advocates for better dog training methods to other people. All right, that's my aim. How do you do? I'm a bit of a preacher, I'm afraid. I do tend to go on a bit, so we'll get into some fun stuff instead. All right, so first things first. I want you to imagine, when we're talking about building a puppy, I want you to imagine it's like a pyramid, okay? And if you were to start at the top of the pyramid, which is all the fancy stuff, teaching your dog all these words and all of these jobs that they have to do to live with us, what you've got then is what they call a base which is not complete. So what's going to be at the base to make the strength for this puppy to be able to learn and fit into our society is going to be all of their own needs, their internal and external physical needs. So what does a puppy need? They need the obvious ones, food and water. They also need safety, security, and companionship and relationship, okay? If we don't have all of those things in place, then everything else becomes difficult. So, remembering that we're a different species, we may feel that we're providing all of those things, but actually from the dog's point of view, maybe not making it, maybe not quite getting there. So if you think about the puppy's first experiences, these guys are very young, very tiny. Luna's eating mummy right now. Very young, very tiny, have zero knowledge of what's expected of them. Everything is potentially dangerous for them. Everything. You know, tiny little things like the noise of a light bulb. When I was a tiny child, it's not so bad now, I had extraordinary hearing and extraordinary sensitivities to sound. And if somebody left the light on the landing outside my bedroom, the noise of it would drive me mad and I couldn't sleep because of the noise of the light bulb. So Chris is nodding. You must have had the similar experience when you were a kid. But that sound used to drive me absolutely batty. And it wasn't until I had the verbal ability to explain what it was that I could tell my parents that they needed to switch that light off. They were leaving it on because they thought it was going to be good for me to have a light coming through so I would feel secure. All right, so they were doing the best they could at the time. They didn't know that I had a problem with it. And the dog is in a similar condition. So I think always err on the side of caution. Always assume that a new experience might be difficult for them. Don't push them on through experiences. We're going to talk about how to help them. So this is all about socialization. Socialization is the ability to move through and interact with the environment feeling safe, feeling secure. Okay, Luna's definitely having your ears. So, how do we do that? Well, the first thing we need to recognize is that puppies need time. They need time to really look at things, to really smell things, to really hear things and take all that information in. And what we tend to do as humans is we tend to rush them through those experiences. It is normal when something new happens, it's normal for your puppy to freeze, to go still, to really put their ears up, put their head up, go a little bit stiff and stand for a few seconds. Okay, and just not be able to do anything. That's normal. And if we get involved too quickly at that point, we can accidentally be saying to our puppy, yes, it is scary. Even if we're saying, oh, it's all right, don't worry. What we're actually doing is we're reacting to that thing as well. And that makes the puppy think, oh, maybe it is scary. Maybe I need to. So what we do is we wait them out for that bit. And then at some point, several seconds down the line, they will either approach the new object and want more information, or they will come to us and say, that's a bit scary. I need my backup. I need my support system. And you say, yeah, it's all right. And what you shouldn't do at that point is get too stressed about it. It's a human reaction. We want to baby them. We want to say, oh, it's all right, it's all right, it's all right. But what you actually need to do is go, oh, hello, you're back. Do you want a bit of chicken? It's all right. Don't panic. You know, nothing new. All right. And then you can, if you've got a puppy who's a bit worried, don't try and get them to go over to that new situation. Don't try and make them interested in it. You go over. You look at that thing. You touch that thing. You come away from it kind of calmly, or go over to it again kind of calmly, but don't try and encourage the puppy to go there. The puppy will come because they are curious as to why you're finding it so exciting and interesting. Okay, so we don't look at them, we don't try and invite them, we don't use food to lure them towards a new situation. We wait until they decide that they're ready to go themselves, and then, oh, there's food next to this object, or there's something that you already recognize as being safe next to this object, and that object could be another person, or, you know, whatever it is that's new in the environment that they've not interacted with before. So that then they find out after they're brave that that thing is a good thing. Is that making sense to anybody? Does anybody want to ask questions about that bit? I know it's all a bit freaky and a bit scary, and I know it causes anxiety. And someone using, hello, Allah King. I'm just gonna get you to introduce you. So,
Hi
Allah
there.
King, what's your first
Well,
name?
that's for Ali, my wife, but she's had to go shopping, take her mum shopping, so it's me today, just me. So it's Martin.
So it's normally going to be Ali.
Well, it could be
and
both of us.
Martin.
Could be both of us, yeah. But just me today.
And what's your puppy called?
It's Willow. She's Willow. Willow.
Okay, and is it Lisa is trying to, is that a wave to Martin? Or is that a wave to get my attention? Okay, if you want to ask me a question, standard asking questions at any point. If you're happy at this point, give me some feedback. Everybody happy? Happy, happy. So, right, so the other reason I want to tell you something I forgot to tell you. My big screen, where I can actually see your faces properly, I'm using my mobile phone to video, which is there, and my big screen is over there. So if it looks like I'm not looking at you, it's because I'm actually looking at you really carefully and staring at the big screen to get more information. So try not to let that put you off. Okay, so socialization at the puppy's pace, and make every new experience either completely safe and neutral, so nothing horrible happened, but nothing particularly good happened either, for those things that you just want them to learn to ignore, or have those experiences associated with something lovely, something nice happening. Okay, now we have to be a bit careful with the use of nice, because a lot of people, especially people that aren't very wise about dogs, will assume that nice means touching, tickling, holding, cuddling, yeah? Now, from your puppy's point of view, they might like that for a few seconds, but they might not like it for any longer than that. Now, what I want you to think about here is, you're friendly, aren't you? When you pass a stranger in the street, you might look at them and nod at them, say hi. You know, you might, if they introduce themselves, you might make physical contact. In the olden days, we used to shake hands. Do you remember those days? But you don't want them to go into a full hug, full body contact situation. And certainly you don't want to hold their hand longer than a couple of seconds, because any longer than that comes a bit weird. Okay, so I want you to think about that when you're introducing your puppy to new people, especially. No letting them pick them up and dive them into their arms, and let the pup come to the person and tell the person to let the puppy leave when they're ready. And the pup will then say, oh no, well, I really like that, I want to stay for a bit longer. Yeah, or okay, that was enough, thanks, I'm off to do something else. All right, now that's really important, because puppies who are forced into physical contact are more likely then to develop a self-protection, you know, either growling or getting upset and biting. So we want to be aware of that. We want to be aware that we don't want to force them into that. We don't use food in the hands of strangers to get the puppy to go over to the person. We let the puppy choose to be in the company of the person first, find out that the person's safe, that maybe playing with that person with a toy or having contact with that person is really nice, and then the food can come. Yeah, we don't want food to be the reason the pup goes into a situation that's a bit freaky, because what will happen is they will eat the food and they will still be in that freaky situation. Is that making sense to everybody? Nobody kind of, again, I'm staring at my screen because I want to make sure you're on board. Okay, so biting then. Do you know that your puppy has no idea that you are a person, that you have an internal feeling thing? You know, at the moment, you are just another object in the environment. You are another thing that they need to investigate. They are asking, what happens if? What happens if I chew on these things? You know, what happens if I snap and be silly around this thing? Yeah, what happens if I tug on here? They're asking what happens, that's all. So there's no malice in it. There's no intention to harm. They are asking for feedback. And the feedback needs to help them to make good decisions in the future. So if you don't want your puppy to get more excited about biting at your hands or about biting at your face, you make it all go still and calm. Everything chills out. You take your hands away. Take them away slowly. You don't have to whip them out of the way, but you go, oh, no, because no, I don't like that. You can take your body away slowly. You can take your clothing away slowly. You make it all become less exciting. Okay? Now, the other thing is, the other reason that puppies bite, and I did do a really quite a long sort of talk about this, which is on the Facebook group about puppy biting, and you know, it's a decent bit of information there, so I can't cover it all in one class. But the other reason that they might be biting is when they're tired, when they're hungry, when they're frustrated because they can't do something. And one of the good reasons for biting is the frustration of not being able to tell the person to let you go, that you're done with that physical contact. Quite often it's when they need a poo. Yeah. Big one is tiredness. Puppies need a lot of sleep, a lot more than you might imagine. 18 hours a day your puppy should be resting. They tend to do that in cycles. They tend to have 20 minutes of sheer madness, 20 minutes of investigation, and 20 minutes of sleep every hour. Yeah, and that actually continues through the night as well. So that they need to learn that the nighttime period is a complete rest period. And I find puppies understand that better if they're able to hear you sleeping, if they're able to be aware that you are also doing nothing. So there's nothing going on. Yeah. And to begin with, getting them into a sleep pattern and a rest pattern does actually need for you to settle down for 20 minutes every hour, because they can't cope. If you're moving around and you're busy, Once you've got them so that they've got a place that they can go to, that they can relax and they choose to go to, that you're not forcing them into or making them go there, then they can start doing the 20 minutes on their own while you're doing other things. So it is very much like having a baby. So to begin with, I like to teach my pups, oh, it's rest time, and I make all the cues that it's rest time the same. So I will settle myself, I'll get myself a book, I'll have a cup of tea. I'll not give them attention insofar as if they're coming over and they're biting, I'm going to say, oh no, it's rest time. You know, I'm not involved. But if you go to this place, and we're going to call this a settle, if you go to this place, there will be something to chew, or there will be treats coming to that place, okay, for settling down. And that's one of the first exercises we're going to do in a minute. Okay, any questions about that bit? All on board with me so far? Have I blown your brains? Happy, happy, happy. Thumbs up. So that I know that you're still connected and you're still hearing me. Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, thank you. Oh no, there's a wave. Ah, okay. Go on then.
Hi, just wanted to ask you about the biting, and you know, you say the slowly drawing away, and which is all well and good unless they're attached to your clothes. And the way I found to sort of deal with that is to, if I then sort of pick her up, she tends to release whatever she's got on, and I just turn her away and then do that walking away. But just wanted to check that that's okay.
So the reason that's probably working is because being picked up is not a nice experience. Okay, so you're punishing biting, and it works, so you could argue that it's working and therefore do it. But to my mind, I'm a bit concerned that you're using something the puppy's worried about. So an alternative way of doing it would be to keep very still, go very stiff, just hold on to your clothes, and most puppies are going to go, oh, you're acting weird, and they will let go anyway. Okay, that stillness, that difference is going to be enough for most puppies. For other puppies, sometimes you have to, now depending on the puppy, this is really important. For some puppies, if you yip like you've been hurt, they will let go. For some puppies, that will make them more excited and they'll get more bitey. So that's a case of try it and see. If it's making them more bitey, don't do it. Yeah, going still, going quiet, looking hurt, you know, really like this. Quite often puppies will feel that and they will go, oh right, okay, well I was just playing, you know, I didn't mean to hurt you. All right, the other thing is the biting will improve for most puppies as long as you don't make a big deal out of it. Yeah, don't get too excited about it. But we need that bite to go on to other objects. We need that bite using up. Now, if you think about it, you've just taken your pup away from a litter of pups where biting was being practiced, where the what if I bite you here? Oh, I'm not playing with you anymore, says one puppy. All right, I'll go over to another puppy and I'll bite them instead. What happens if I bite you here? Oh, I'm not playing with you anymore. Information, information, information. Well, now you've got a puppy's litter worth of biting to deal with. Yeah? And the more that the puppy learns, well, that doesn't work. That doesn't make my owner get more loving. It doesn't make my owner get more playful. It, you know, it doesn't work. So what it is though, remember, it could be information. It could be information that they're not coping emotionally, or that physically they have a need that we're not dealing with, that they haven't been provided for. So take it as information, but try not to get emotionally upset about it yourself, and try not to get physically abusive about it yourself, because that will tend to make it worse. Okay. All right, so biting. Ah, no, there's wavy hands. Go on then.
Sorry, can I add as well? So I've tried with the biting with Bert, given him another toy to chew. I've tried putting my back to him and folding my arms, which does often calm him down. But when he gets very excited and he's hanging off your clothes and he's, you know, proper going for you, I have yesterday and today picked him up and put him in his crate because I think he just needs time out and to calm. Is that okay to put him in his crate? Because I don't want him to feel his crate's a punishment area because it's supposed to be a safe place.
Right.
So
no, it's a good question. So my thoughts on this is, if you've got a very bitey puppy, rather than putting them in a crate, have a zone, a puppy zone. So on the Facebook page, again, you'll see a photo of Dodo in his puppy zone, because he was a nightmare puppy, and it was where these lot are laying now. Half of my office was puppy zone. Yeah. And while he was all calm and sweet and lovely, I'd go and I'd sit in there with him and I'd play with his toys with him and we'd have cuddles. And then when he started to get bitey, I would remove me. Okay, that means that that play zone, that puppy zone, that safe space that is their place where all the good stuff goes to, that doesn't then become a punishment. Yeah, so they're not being put away from us. We are removing us. Now you can do that with a stair gate or with a door. Social isolation is a massive punishment for puppies. Okay, so it is still a punishment, but it makes more sense to them if the thing, the object that they're trying to interact with is taken away because of their behavior. Does that make sense? So it's still a punishment, but it makes more sense. It kind of means something more. The trouble with picking them up to put them away from you is, if your puppy's already worried about being picked up, you're potentially making that worse. If your puppy was just looking for attention and the biting's just caused a chase game, then he might actually be reinforcing biting. If they were a bit bored and they wanted you, now you've got a game potentially. So I prefer take me out rather than, yeah. If you're on the sofa with your pup and your pup's still tiny enough, you could just go, oh, and pop them on the floor. You know, you can't be on me if you're going to be biting at me. So, oh, you're just down on the floor. Yeah, take your feet out of the way, get all of your body on the sofa so they can't reach you, and then ignore them because we need them to calm down. All right, was there another wiggle? Yeah, there was.
My puppy has got an obsession with biting slippers when my children try to walk. Literally, we have tripped over her so many times, and if she can't get the slippers, she does the pouncy bounce. So we give her a toy and we play with her, but then she goes after dressing gowns, or if you've got anything dangling from you. And because they're children, I don't know what to tell them to do.
Okay. So yeah, kids and puppies, nightmare, absolute nightmare. You need to manage the situation. We know it's going to happen, so it's predictable. We know the types of situations where it's likely to happen, so we can start to manage that situation so it's less likely that the puppy will find out that it results in something they like. So again, we're looking at having the puppy in zones so that when the kids are moving around or the kids are excited, the puppy isn't in the same space as them, so that the pup can't learn to chase and bite and whatever. And I'm very much management with this situation, very much. If you can't be there to constantly be telling the puppy, no, let's follow you around, let's give you this instead, come and do this instead, come and train to do this instead, then they should be where they can't practice the wrong behaviours.
There's too many children to put them without a child.
So, and the alternative, obviously, is to get rid of some of the kids. You know, I mean, I haven't got any. I don't know how you go about rehoming children, but the more that the pup gets to practice it, the better the pup's going to learn. Now, what you can say to the kids, and it depends on the age of the kids, the understanding of the kids, you know, whether or not they're good at following instruction. You know, are they going to do what you say, basically? But remember, go back to, the more exciting it is and the more response they get, the more likely they are to keep doing it. So the kids need to get very still, very boring, until the puppy's completely given up trying to get a response. If your child is not capable of doing that, that child should not be left in the company of the puppy, unless you're actively there, following them around, micromanaging their interaction. Does that make sense? And I know it's not nice, but management, to survive living with a puppy, puppies are a nightmare. They are horrible things to live with. To survive living with a puppy, 90% of it is managing their access to things, managing their access to all of your things that you don't want them to learn how to chew, managing their access to all of those things you don't want them to learn to pee on, you know? So it is a nightmare, but it will get better. The more you manage it and the more that you direct them towards those things that are the right things, and the more you help them to learn that they are the right things, the better it's going to be. Okay, let's do some games quickly before I run out of time. I did tell you I tend to go on a bit. So we're going to do some training. The first thing we're going to teach you, I'm just going to put me on big view. So you should just have a big picture of me and little pictures of you now. Is that right? Has that worked? Yeah? Okay, so what we're going to teach them to do first of all is what this lot are doing behind me. And as soon as I move to start training, they're going to get up, because they've learned when I'm still, they just need to lay down and relax. One of them's under the desk. So this is a settle. And settle, dogs don't naturally just relax. You know, if there's something going on, they want to be involved in it. We need to teach them to relax. We need to teach them to settle down and to be okay with just being still. Remembering that dogs need much more sleep than we do. Naturally, they're more active morning and evening, like any hunting animal, dawn and dusk. So learning to relax in the daytime, that's a skill. All right, and the way we do that is Dodo under the desk saying, we don't have a big picture. Who's that? Oh, I can't see that. Let me put chats on. We don't have a big picture of you and little ones of us yet. Okay, if you click on your own device, on your own picture, and on there it will have on the top right somewhere an option to change it to speaker view. You need to be on speaker view instead of gallery view. Happy? Got it? Right, okay, so as predicted, as soon as I move, the gang moves. But I want them to learn to settle down and relax. And to begin with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure the bed's quite close to me. I'm going to ignore all of this trying to get my attention behaviour. And anybody who's on the bed or near the bed to begin with for your puppies is going to get a treat. So Dodo's going to carry on saying, well, I'll sit here. What happens if I sit here? Well, nothing. You're not going to get into trouble. I'm not going to get upset with you. I'm not going to get angry. I'm just going to keep rewarding any movement towards the bed, any being on the bed with your feet. Now, tiny puppies might need a little bit of extra help. Put the food on the nose, but don't give it. Take them to the bed. Come on, over the top of it. You have to get over. That's it. And when they're on the bed, put the food onto the bed. Don't give it to the puppy's nose. Okay? And then he's near the bed, he's on the bed. I'm going to put the food onto the bed. So the bed, now look what's happened. He says, oh, well, there's no point in getting off. I might as well hang out here because this is obviously where the food's going to be. And over the course of time, repeatedly, quite rapidly with tiny puppies, sometimes you're going to need to go every 3 to 5 seconds with your tiny pieces of food for them to start to understand that There's no point getting off the bed. They might as well stay on there. And what I want you to do is I want you to have not just their own bed as a place to settle, but also get yourself a cheap little easy to roll up mat and teach them that whenever that mat comes out, if your feet or your body are on that mat, then you're going to get rewarded. And then you can start to take that mat with you to new situations, to new places. So I like to do settle in the back of the car. I sit on the, on the bumper of the car, and I just feed through the cage or feed to wherever they are in the car. On that subject, do remember that unrestrained dogs in cars is against the law. You have to have them secured one way or another. All right? Not legally allowed to sit on the front seat, I'm afraid, for anybody who's doing that. But yeah, so settling in the back of the car, just watching the world go by, is a fantastic way to help them to relax. Settle is much easier for them if it's got a long-term chew, something that's going to last a while for them. So things like dried pieces of animal. There's lots and lots of different options with that. If you need ideas with that, come back to us. We do sell a few bits. Or if you're going to be right next to them and you want them to learn to sit with you in a cafe or sit in the pub, in the future at some point when we're allowed back in, then you're going to teach them that mat is right next to your feet, and you're going to keep giving pieces of food. Yeah, if you have dinner at the table, especially if you've got children, then teach them that mat is down near your side of the table and that food will keep coming, not necessarily off your plate. I prefer dogs not to learn to like our food specifically, to have their own treat foods, but you have a bowl of dog food on your table and you're going to be serving to the bed. So it goes onto the bed. Now, with regards to how to hold your food, what I'd like for you to learn to do is hold your food in your hand on, hello Dodo, you're a pain, on the cross of your fingers, and put your thumb over the top and make your hand into kind of a bowl shape, so that when the puppy goes to try and take that food, they have to push their hand into that bowl, and that makes it less likely that they'll bite. If you're holding your food here like this, they will tend to open their mouths to try to take it. What we want is food inside the hand so that they push their nose. Yes, all right, come here. So as I demoed, okay, so they push, you have to come up because they can't see. So they push their nose into that hand to try and get that food. Now, what I want you to see though, is that I haven't actually let that go. Okay, can you see? It's really, really trying to get in there. He's pushing really hard and he's putting his whole nose and his mouth inside the hand, and it's still there. Okay, now that means I can now time exactly when I want to let go of that food. I can time what behavior he's doing. Take your paws off the desk and then I'll give it to you. Come up here. That's it. There we go. Nearly. He says I can't do it. You have to reach out and put his paws out. I can time when the behavior that he's doing is exactly what I want. So I can take his nose all the way to the bed and put the food down on the bed. Okay? So everybody got a bit of food. Do you want to have a bash at that? If you can, just for us so that we can see and it's more fun for me, get your camera so that we can see it happen. But don't worry if you can't. Don't panic if you can't. this. I'll kick you out. I will. Sit. All right, beautiful. So sometimes for some puppies this can happen really quickly. They'll start to just hang out on their bed, and that means you can't practice sending them to their bed, but you can practice staying on your bed and settling and relaxing on your bed. Okay, so when you want your pup to go away from you, this is what you're going to ask them. You're going to say, can you go and lay down? Go and lay down. Lay down, Dojo. Good boy. And you can't see him because I'm in the way. What? All right. So then you've got dogs who kind of know if you don't want them to be involved in whatever it is you're doing, you're giving them a behavior that they can do, that they can be reinforced for, that isn't going to irritate you. Okay. So Dodo doesn't deal very well with frustration. He likes to be moving. He likes to be into the middle of everything. And if he can do it, anybody can do it. He's that kind of a dog. All right. Any problems? Anybody have any problems or couldn't get their pup to do it? Give me a wave. Happy? All right. So the next little thing we're going to do, next little game we're going to do is called the name game. Your pup, you have assigned a sound to them which you want them to think means it's all about you. You are a pain, do you know? Yeah. You want them to think it's all about them. But your dog does not have any idea what that sound means until you teach them. So their name, that sound that you want them to respond to, doesn't mean anything. And if you are not careful in the way that you interact with your puppy, in the way that you train your puppy, their name could actually start to mean avoid the human because they're going to do something I don't like. Or that name could be associated with the owner is about to stop me doing something fun. All right, so how do we make sure that doesn't happen? Well, what we do is we play the name game. And the name game is about making a classical, in other words, an association between the sound and something the dog likes, okay? So it's, if you want to get sciencey about it, look up a guy called Pavlov, and he accidentally found out that during one of his experiments, whenever he rang the bell, dogs would start to salivate in anticipation of food, which really messed up his experiment because that wasn't what he was trying to test. But it was an interesting finding that dogs can classically associate one thing with another, and that can be either a bad thing, and if your name, when you hear your name, means I'm going to take you and put you in the bath, then it could become associated with a bad thing. But if your name is associated with the opportunity to come and get food from me, then it's going to be a good thing, and the puppy's going to want to respond. So just so I don't get too many dogs overexcited, we'll get rid of a couple. Can you go out for me? Yeah? Yeah, you. Come on. Twiggy. Go on out. Good girl. Go. 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 Yeah. Good girl. You stay there. You go and that up. Good. You're with me. You're in here. Thank you very much. Alright, so how do we go about this? Well, what we're going to do is, while you're doing nothing and you're interacting in no way with your pup and you're kind of just wandering around doing your own thing so that the pup doesn't think it's anything to do with them, then when they're kind of not switched on to you, you're going to say their name. You're going to go, Dodo, and immediately feed them. Immediately feed them. Don't expect any other behavior. Don't expect to sit or anything else. We want the name to equal food straight away. Even if the puppy doesn't look at you, go to them and feed them to begin with, okay? So we go, Dodo, and feed. Dodo. Now you can see what's happening here. Now he doesn't want to go away from me, so I would have to wait quite a long time for him now to wander off. But with your tiny puppies, when they're really short attention spans, you'll find that they wander off quite quickly. Yeah? If they jump up to take the food, what I want you to do is put it onto the floor. All right, so if you've got a puppy who tends to get excited and jump up and start biting at your hands, put that food onto the floor. Every time you've said the name, put it down onto the floor. That will reduce that jumping up and getting excited and biting. All right, so that's your game. Off you go, have a go. Don't worry, if you can't get your phone into the right position, you don't have to, just watch everybody else. Wait until they're looking away a little bit, wander off, do your own thing, and then some pups get this straight away. Some pups are like, oh yeah. Look at the amount of attention. Your puppy's saying, I follow this human. This human is a good person to follow. There's good stuff associated with this person. Now, what happens quite quickly, if you can do this little exercise regularly, now you can start to use their name as a way of interrupting behaviours that you don't like. So instead of having to get upset with them, you can say their name and they will start to move towards you. And generally that means they will be moving away from the thing that you don't want them to be doing. Does that make sense? So that makes life so much easier. Everybody happy with that one? Yeah, thumbs up. Nobody any problems? Ooh, hello. Go on then, talk to me.
Hi, my pup's asleep, so I haven't done any of it.
You get the video afterwards so you can practice on your own.
Okay, so I shouldn't wake her up then
Right.
to do it, just let her sleep.
No, we don't try and train them when they're tired or grumpy.
Great.
Now you're not going to learn if you're not in the right frame of mind. You can't learn anyway. So don't worry. Okay, what else have I got? All right, so we're going to practice a little game called touch, and I love touch because if your puppy is always expecting food in your hand, they can quickly start to learn not to offer behavior when the food isn't in the hand, okay? Because it becomes part of the picture for that trained behavior. It becomes the expectation. And if that food isn't there, that picture isn't the same as when they learned it. So we're going to try and teach you the method that they use for teaching all species. They use it in the zoo. You're going to see it when they're doing training lions, for example, or training crocodiles. And it's called target training. And Dawn should have reminded you all to bring a target. I love this bit. It's a joke. Don't panic. All right. So the target is one of these. Did everybody bring one of these? Everyone got one? One of them? Yeah? All right. So the aim is that the dog starts to think, when I see that target, I need to put my nose on it. All right? So you go here. Yes. All right? Yes. Yes. All right? And what you can hear there is a marker word, a marker sound. All right? So that can either, if you want to use a clicker, it could be a clicker, or it can be a specific word that you're going to say that means that's the right behavior. All right. All right, so what's important with this game is that your timing needs to be really, really good. I want the time when you say that marker word needs to be as they are literally just about to touch or when their nose has touched. Okay, so it's as they're coming in or just as they touch. If you say yes and their nose is already wandering away, they're not going to put 2 and 2 together as easily. All right. The next thing I want you to think about here is, here's your target. The dog touches that target. I want you then to bring the treat to the same hand and pay from that hand. So we're going, yes. Now the treat comes to that hand and it's paid from that hand. That makes it much easier for the puppy to learn. Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes. So even though it's an empty hand to begin with, the reward comes from that hand. Does that make sense to everybody? Yeah. There's a tutorial again for that on the Facebook group, which hopefully explains it a little bit better as well. So do you want to have a go at that? To begin with, you might find that you can only have your hand literally that far away from the nose, like this. All right? You might find your puppy can only move literally that far. Some dogs don't understand. For those that really don't get it, what you can do is kind of an intermediate. You can do food goes in your Vulcan grip, just so there's something to smell. They don't get that piece. So the hand signal's the same, yes, but the treat comes from elsewhere. Does that make sense? So we only have that bit of food in there. If you really need it, only have it in there for 2 or 3 times and then get rid of it so that it's a completely empty hand. Okay, yes, beautiful. Okay, so when you're doing that, just be careful that it's them that moves to your hand, not you that bumps their nose. Okay, it's all right if you unmute yourself, Lisa.
So Baxter's just like launching at me and biting my hand.
Okay. Some dogs are more excited by the game than others. So what I would say is, if you mark the yes before that nose approaches, and with that put the treat onto the floor. So I'll see if I can show you that. Yeah?
Okay.
So don't have the same problem. You'll see even now he tends to forget and kind of, let's just put me on speaker view so you've got a better view. That's better. Okay. So he had the same problem. He'd grab at the hand, and sometimes now he still opens his hand a bit, his mouth a bit too much. So what I want to do is I want to try and get my timing as he's approaching. Yes, and I'm going to put the food onto the floor. Yeah? Yes. So when he's looking, yes, and approaching, but because then he starts to think that the food is going to be down, instead of following through to that bite, he's going to follow the food onto the floor. Does that make sense? Yeah? That should help to reduce that. Okay, all right, so why do I want you to learn that? Well, we've already said if the puppy is associating come here, the fact that there's food in the hand, this is an empty hand, yeah? If he's associating that you only do that behaviour when there's food in the hand, then that becomes a problem later on. that what do we do when we haven't got food with us? Now, once your puppies learn to target that hand, you can move them however you want to, just using your hand. Yes. All right. That means you can teach them, for example, how to walk smartly with you with an empty hand. Yes, good boy. All right. You can get them out of trouble. Come here quick. Yes. Away from whatever it is they're about to get into trouble with, you know, running in front of a cyclist or about to talk to another dog or another person, jump on another person. So you can get them out of that situation quickly and safely. So I really, really like touch. Okay? Happy with that, everybody? Did everybody get it and understand it? Thumbs up for me if you know what you mean. Okay, happy? All right, so one last one, because I always overrun on the first class. I'm so bad at timing, but we are over time. So one last one. We're going to just get attention. We're going to get them to look at us. All right, and we're going to play this little game. It's called 1, 2, 3 game, and its originator was Kay Atwood, who's a friend and a dog trainer. Okay, so what we do here, we've got some food, and the puppy knows, or might know by now, that we've got food. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait until the puppy looks at us. When the puppy looks at our face instead of our hand, so hide your hands, hide the food, you're going to say 1 and put a piece of food down. When they look, 2 and put a piece of food down. And when they look again, 3 and toss a little bit of food. So not too far, puppies don't track food very easily, but just make 3 a little bit more exciting. So 1's kind of okay, and 2's kind of good, and 3's, woo, party time, okay? So they look and you go 1, 2, 3. And if you're getting it right, what you should get is a puppy who starts to come in front of you and they're kind of going, are you going to say it? Are you going to say it? Are you going to say it? Okay? So you won't be able to get rid of them. So have a go at the 1, 2, 3 game. Come here, puppy. Okay, beautiful. All right, so now we're going to combine a couple of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to add their name, in other words, give attention to me, to the 1, 2, 3 game. All right, so oh, I need a bigger office. This is my training space. It's only 10 foot by 10 foot. All right, so we're going to wait for him to start paying attention. Easier said than done with a dog that's already learned all of this. Yeah, so for you puppies, it's going to be easy to get the no attention bit. And then we're going to say the name. 2, 1, 2. All right, so wait until they're looking away a little bit. Name to tell them that something interesting is about to happen. And then when they look into your eyes, 1, 2, 3 game. Remember, they look into your eyes before you say the next number. We're not using the number to get their attention. We're using the number to tell them that they're getting it right. All right, beautiful. So I am going to have to cut you off because I've got to rush on to my next class. If you have any problems, there's lots of different ways of getting hold of us. You know, you should all be on the WhatsApp group by now, or the Facebook group. You can go via Messenger. There's phone numbers all over the place on if you're really coming to pieces and you're thinking, oh my heavens, I'm having a meltdown, I'm going to sell the puppy or whatever, then get hold of us. You know, don't make any panic decisions. Most things we can help you with. It's very rare for puppy problems to be impossible to deal. Very, very rare. So one tiny little thing I'd like to do at the end of class, just as a little celebration, is wave your puppies at me. So we're going to literally come on up here, turn around, and you ready? We're going to wave. Yay! Bye! Oh, yeah, there is a piece of food there. Bye!